Welcome to That's Why podcast with Anna and Patricia, the show where we arouse your curiosity while we dull your senses.
Hi, my name is Lily, and here's a little backstory for my question. Over a year ago, I went to a party with my best friend and I met a guy. A few months later, I distanced myself from that friend. I feel like we were both changing. We had very different values. It was competitive, toxic. There was a lack of respect in that friendship. Now, with the guy I met, I became insanely infatuated with him. Despite him making minimal efforts, not respecting me and leading me on, he made a lot of empty promises. Basically, his actions didn't match his words, and he was trying to keep me around without a commitment. So I finally cut things off with this guy a couple months ago. New Year's Eve comes around, and my ex-best friend posts a video of herself at a party with this guy. Being the person who walked away from both of them, I'd love to say it doesn't affect me, but that's definitely not true. I was very jealous, very upset, and very annoyed when I saw that. So my question is, what would you do, or how would you feel if you were in my position, and why do you think I felt the way I felt?
All right. What are your thoughts on this, Patricia?
Well, for me, the ego is the big thing. I'm always telling all my friends, everybody that knows me, the ego is constantly present at every moment. I mean, sometimes you walk into a store, and if you've been feeling self-conscious about your coat, about how you look, whatever, and someone looks at you, you're always on the lookout for a judgment. Okay. So having said that, I think it's normal for her to feel that way. There's nothing abnormal about feeling jealous. She said she walked away from them, and yet the way she ended her relationship with her friend, and then ending it, her being more invested in this guy when she broke up with him, you could easily, can you imagine conjuring like a million scenarios in your mind about what those two are talking about? What? You. What are they saying about you? What are they, are they making fun of you? Wow, they're together, and it's not like they're her nemesis, but it wasn't like she ended it friendly, and that makes it even that much harder. So I think it's natural to feel that way. But I remember a very wise person, Anna, I think I'm talking about you, when you said, people are not thinking about you as often as you think. Okay, so regardless of whether they were talking about her, because I think that that's the hardest thing, seeing them together and thinking, what could those two be saying? And is it true? Am I being made a fool of? Nobody, like, why is it that when somebody falls on the floor, everyone looks around and they're like, oh my gosh, I'm so embarrassed. Why do you get embarrassed when you fall, when that can happen to anyone, right? Because we never want to look like the fool. And so I think that that's why she is feeling that way. And I think that the best thing to do is to approach it in a less emotional way and say, you know what? Regardless of whatever they say about me, it doesn't matter. They're not in my life. They don't even mean that much to you. What means more to you is the ego and how fragile it is. So get your ego in check and just be like, you know what? They're not in my life, and they're not that important. And whatever they say about me might not even be true. So if they want to entertain themselves together, doing whatever, fine. Sometimes we also feel left out. We're like, I know I'm the one that walked away, but maybe, and if you're feeling regret, address that. If you're feeling regret of having left the relationship,
that's great.
Or if you're feeling regret of having ended the friendship with her and the relationship with him, then I could see that. But if you have no regrets and you're looking back and seeing them together, good riddance. It's all good. You know who you are. And if you really feel that you're that person where, you know what, whatever they say, I'm okay with me, then that's what you want to focus on, but not what they're going to say and do that has no business with you.
I think I like what you said about the ego, because that's something that can control all of us. However, for me personally, I don't know if I have a large ego, if I could represent it that way, but it's easy for me to remove myself from situations that I don't like to be in. And I also don't get uncomfortable easily. I don't get embarrassed easily. I don't care if 100 people look at me if I do fall, for example,
Yes.
you know what you said. And I don't care about being a fool. In fact, I would tell everybody, oh, I'm the fool,
Right.
you know, if I did something.
That's a good strategy,
And
Anna, because it diffuses any, right? If anyone was going to laugh at you, you'd be like, you know what? I'm laughing at myself. So take a line, take a number. You're okay. And it really does diffuse these feelings of discomfort that we can feel. I like that strategy.
It's weird because I'm usually really unemotional, except for the
that
time
one
of
time.
month. Gosh. But the other, so stupid, but the other 25 days of the month, I'm like really unemotional. I'm usually very logical and I'm just like, I don't care. For example, I have had friends that have dated my exes, and it's, you know, the girl code or the bro
Right.
code. You're not supposed to do it. But it doesn't bother me because in my eyes, I'm like, well, I left him for a reason. But if you think you and him will be better together, go for it. I'm genuinely happy for them to try it out.
Wow.
And I don't care.
Anna,
you know,
I am
not-
so
yeah.
impressed. Well, first of all, what's the saying? It says bros before hoes or chicks before dicks, right? Isn't that the motto? Anna, I admire that about you, but we got to be real and say a lot of people are petty, right? People are petty.
Yeah.
Listen, I've been with people. Now, I am not that kind of person, and I'm sure you're not either. We're hanging at a club. A beautiful woman walks in. Man, she has got her body on point, her attire on point, her makeup, her hair. And I've been with women that immediately they're like, those shoes. Like, I don't understand people like that. I'm like, oh my gosh, look at that woman. And immediately she evokes a sense of inspiration for me. I'm like, shoot, I would like to be that on point. I would like to be. But
Exactly.
I have met most people that are not like that. And I notice people's body language. When a woman like that has walked in, they immediately they look at themselves and they're like, oh shit, I didn't, these jeans are not looking good. Dang, my belly. And it makes them reflect on themselves, or I don't have any makeup today, or I didn't do my hair. And they start criticizing themselves. But instead of wanting to continue, immediately they want to lash. Because what do? I feel that a lot of people, and I've certainly been guilty of this, whereas if you're angry about one thing, you lash out at people that have nothing to do with whatever it is that you're angry about. And you may get a little snippy or persnickety with somebody, and then you're like, oh, I gotta check myself and apologize to that person. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But what does that mean? That means that sometimes we don't even know how to express our emotion. But I think that that's admirable that you can be that open-minded and that truly loving, because when you really love someone, you want the best for them, right?
Yeah. You know what? Go
Right.
for it. Tell me how it goes and we can go on double dates if you want. Like, it doesn't bother me at all. I do have zero jealousy. Before Peter and I got together, when we were serious, I encouraged him to go on dates with other women. I was
He's
like,
like, you don't want me.
"No."
What's wrong with you?
I know. I'm like, I do want you, but if you want someone else, go. Like, I'll be fine. I'm not the jealous person when it comes to women either. You know, Katie, she was my work wife at the salon for a long time. But when I first met her, I was like, you are so
She is
pretty.
beautiful.
You will be my friend, you know? I was like, you will be my friend, and that's going to happen. When I look at a pretty person, I'm not like, oh, I hate
Right.
them. I'm like, ooh, let's hang out.
And
Like, I don't know. I love
would
it.
you say that foundation, okay, even though you may not categorize yourself as a really secure person, I find you to be a very secure person. I don't think that just because someone
I think I'm overly secure.
maybe that's what it is then.
Sometimes I'm too secure. Maybe I should be more
No,
insecure.
Anna, the things that you've accomplished and the things that you do, I always just like, Anna, she's a boss. And so maybe that's where it also
Aw,
stems from
thank you.
is you got to know who you are. Okay, so you could call me stupid, right? Okay, but if I don't feel that I'm stupid, I'm going to laugh at what you're saying. But if I do feel stupid, immediately it's going to trigger me. So I think that if when you're looking, again, if you feel that you are whatever it is someone thinks about you, then it's going to trigger and you're going to feel some kind of way about what they're saying. But when you know who you are and you're secure in yourself, whatever that may be, because that's another thing. You could be insecure about one thing and be very secure about something else. So you're not insecure about everything. But if that particular thing sets you off, you have to ask yourself why. So I think that also with the question, you might want to self-analyze a little bit and be like, okay, so why did that bug me? What does that say? And there are people who tend to have a jealous nature. And I think that that's something else that you need to analyze and see why that is. You know what I'm saying?
The photo of her ex-friend and her ex-boyfriend, it isn't a reflection upon her. It's a reflection on them, because what was their intention? They knew that, hey, I'm going to post this photo up and she'll see us together. Then you think, did they do that to be hurtful, or did they just do it genuinely because they were having fun and wanted to take a picture at a party?
Well, I love, oh my gosh, thank you for saying that. You know why, Anna? Because does it matter, their intent? You'll probably won't know. Regardless of which way, because I know I've seen people say, "Oh, I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna post this meme because I want somebody that when they read it, they get the message." Even though all these people reading it, they may not ever read it and they don't get the message. But regardless of why they posted it, whether it was genuine or to get back at her so she can see them, I think she takes the ownership and she takes her power back by saying, "This is how I choose to make this okay in my mind." Because you can feel a certain way and get triggered, and we're not always in control of that, but we are in control completely about how we process said feeling and how we work through said feeling.
My cousin Lenoy says, if someone punches you on accident or on purpose, does it hurt? And yes, it does. So even if their intention wasn't to hurt you, let's say they accidentally threw a door open and you were behind the door, but the fact is you still hurt from that. But it's how you deal with it at the end.
Are you going to be like, fuck you? You know what I mean? I mean, if
I will.
I'm going to hurt you right now. But you know what I mean? You could totally be like, you know what? Why am I feeling like this, and what does it say about maybe you have some unresolved feelings that you didn't know, because that can happen. And I don't ever think that there's always one solution to one thing. There's always multiple answers. Now, if there's multiple answers, 1, 2, 3, analyze that. But at the end of the day, if you're going to bed thinking about them in a week, then you have more self-reflection to do than what they even did. Does that make sense? Whatever they did is not as important as why you're brewing and ruminating on this a week later, 4 days later, a month later. You know what I mean? You have to do the work for you then to figure out why.
I don't know how Lily came upon this photo, but my last piece of advice to her would be, how did you come upon the photo? Did you seek the photo of your ex-friend or your ex-boyfriend? If so, block them, take them off, remove yourself from that, so you don't have to feel those things or see.
Great point.
So that's my final advice. I don't know how she saw the photos, but if she went out looking for those photos and saw it, then that's her fault.
Right, like if you, like we say in Spanish, si tú buscas, encuentras. If you're going to be looking for something, you're probably going to find what you're looking for. So, and why are you self-sabotaging or inflicting pain upon yourself? You know what I mean? Are you trying to validate something? And you're right. Chances are, if it was happenstance and you were scrolling on one friend's page and then you saw them, maybe just let it go. And if you have them still on your connections with social media, block them. That's right. Just make your life happy.
We would love to hear what listeners think about Lili's situation.
Yes.
Tell us what your advice would be to her, or how you would react to this. I'll put a post up on our Instagram so we can get some comments.
Be awesome. Instagram and Facebook, right?
Yeah. All right, guys, if you would like to be a part of our show, we would love to hear from you. Ask us questions and share your story. We will give you our unfiltered, unprofessional, unqualified advice. Record an audio clip on your phone and send it in to that'swhyshow@gmail.com. And you can find us on all of the listening platforms, Apple, Spotify, Podbean, Listen Notes, everywhere.
All right. Well, as always, we like to leave you with a quote, and ours today, and I think it's very, what's the word?
Relevant?
Relevant. Thank you, Anna.
You're welcome.
With our topic is, there are too many lovers and not enough love. As always, peace, love, and dark chocolate.
Goodbye.
Thanks for listening. Bye, guys. Ciao.